In this video, we will talk about the data types that we use in the programming language. So, when you create a variable, the computer has to decide what type of storage to use, and that depends on what type of data it is. Now let's see the different types of data together. Number 1, integer, a variable that stores a whole number with no decimal point. For example, 1521 is a whole number with no decimal points. Number 2, real, a variable that stores a number with a decimal point. In Python, it is called float. Real and float are the same. However, some programming languages call it real and some call it float. Now let's see the example for real or float 0.315, so we have a decimal point. Number 3, string, a variable that stores a string of text characters. The string could be either numbers, letters, or symbols. For example, Sunday 1 is a string. We have letters and a number. Number 4, boolean, a variable that stores a true or false value. Or in other words, the 0 and the 1. So simply the example is if it's true or false. And now for the final type, character, or also known as char, a variable that stores a single text character, so only one number, one letter, or one symbol. However, this variable type is not used in Python. So the Python simply uses the string because in the string we can put a character, which is a letter, a number, or a symbol, and we can put one or as much as we want. So in the Python we have the string and not the character. For example, in the Java we have to put one character like this and it should be inside quote marks. Okay, now let's look at some points together. In some programming languages, you have to tell the computer what data type to use. For example, in the Java, if we want to define the variable which is password, we have to write the word string before it, which is the data type. However, in Python, you do not need to tell the computer what data type to use. The computer picks a suitable data type when you assign a value to the variable. So simply by putting inside the variable password, quote marks, and a text, as you can see here, automatically it will know that the password is of type string. Another example is if we have the variable password and we put inside of it 1.21, then it will automatically know that the password is of type real or float. However, there is one exception. The exception is the variable that stores the user's input, because the computer doesn't know what type of data the user might type in. So, in this case, the computer always uses a string variable. So, for example, if we put input, what is your name? Before we input any data, the computer will automatically assume that the password is of type string. Even if the question becomes, what is your age? Here, usually, the user will put a number, which is an integer. However, we don't know what the user will input. So this is why it will be a type of string, because it can include numbers, letters, and symbols. And of course, this has a solution that we will learn about later on.